Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody! That's right, I'm not crazy. Okay, I'm still pretty crazy, but not in this particular instance. No, my mom's side of the family is Ukrainian, so I always grew up celebrating Ukrainian Christmas, which is on January 7th, which is like a different calendar that we use, okay? So, yeah, that's how that goes. We do the whole thing with the tree and the presents and the dinner and the family. We do that today. I actually just got back from doing that, so I'm gonna make a video here, but I just want to wish everybody a good Ukrainian Christmas. You'd think I would know how to say Merry Christmas in Ukrainian. Wait, hold up. Shaswevaho Tobi Ardzwa? I think some of that is close to how to say Merry Christmas in Ukrainian. You'd think growing up in that environment I would know at this point, but, you know. Anyway, I got some cool stuff for Christmas. I got some magic cards and magic cards, so I got lots of that. Barry got some presents too. He got some Mega Man socks. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that. Barry's a big Mega Man fan. He's a big fan of Capcom. He always has been, so he's got some pretty awesome socks. Okay, so today's video we're going to be focusing on the main character himself, Monkey D. Luffy, the future Pirate King. And in fact, we're going to be looking into the future of Luffy, just like we did with Zoro and Nami and Usopp's videos. You'd think I would do Luffy first, because he's the captain and, you know, the MC and all that. But hey, you know, I wanted to give some other characters, you know, the spotlight first. No. So yeah, just like the other ones, we had these SBS drawings that Oda did, Luffy, age 40-60, in the universe where everything went right, where he turns into Garp. So that's how you know the universe, you know, was benefiting Luffy in a major way there, when you become Shanks at age 40 and then Garp at age 60, right? You're just leveling up. And then where things didn't quite go as right, age 40 and 60 there. This was from SBS in volume 89. This was, I think, in the same volume where we also got Ace. So even without the Straw Hats, we still have Ace in the future, and we still have Sabo in the future. So there's still future videos involved for the future of these characters. My favorite, though, is Sabo in the future where things went wrong, because Oda just gave him like a snidely whiplash mustache, like, I'm evil, Sabo, now. Like, that's how you know things didn't go right. But anyway, no, okay. We're gonna be talking about Luffy here. Now, earlier I said at age 40, right here, by the way, Luffy at age 40 and 60, they're both saying the exact same thing, and that's just meat. Although, I would imagine Luffy, like, as he is right now, age 19, he's like, Sanji, meat! He's got a lot of excitement in his voice, you know, because he's Luffy, he's young, and this kid wants some meat, right? Now, at age 40, though, he looks a lot more, like, swashbuckling to me, right? He looks just a lot cooler, like Shanks, sort of like maybe a little Captain Jack Sparrow mixed in there. This isn't Yonko Luffy, as I said, comparing him to Shanks. No, Luffy is gonna become the Pirate King probably around the same age he is right now. Unless we go through some other kind of time skip when we get to Laugh Tale or on the journey towards Laugh Tale, which I highly doubt we're gonna do that. So yeah, Luffy's age 19 right now. He's probably gonna be Pirate King by the time, you know, maybe he's like 20, I would say at the latest. Maybe if another year goes by, he has a birthday or something, and, you know, boom, he's you know, 20. But yeah, it's not gonna be that much longer. So at this point, he's not Yonko Luffy. This is Pirate King Luffy in both of these drawings, okay? But at age 40, he's a lot cooler, okay? Maybe a little bit more reserved. He's been able to contain his excitement a little bit better. So at age 40, he's just like, give me some meat, you know, because he's Luffy, all right. And at age 60, he's also saying it in his Garp persona, so I'm just gonna assume it's just, you know, very loud at that age. He's just like, hey, bring me some meat over here, I want some meat, you know, so that's the way I imagine he's saying those words. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Luffy, of course, is not one for book learning, but just by traveling all over the world, at this age, he probably circumnavigated the globe plenty of times, going to all these different islands, learning about all these different people, different cuisines, I'm sure. He's more cultured is what it is. This is an image of a cultured Luffy we see right here, right? He still loves his meat, he still loves his naps, he's probably the most not the most articulate person in the world, but he's just more cultured from having seen the world as much as he has over the years, all right, and learning so much about the world and their people and the history and, you know, fine cuisine and all that stuff. Also, I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, because that's the point of this video, wicked strong! Like, Luffy right now's got Gear 4th and Snake Man and all that stuff, and he's pretty damn good at Conqueror's Haki, to the point where he can utilize Conqueror's Haki to just knock people out as he chooses. You know, he knocked out like 50,000 fishmen at Fishman Island during the Fishman Island arc. You know, that was a lot of fishmen he knocked out, right? So, imagine age 40 Luffy. I mean, like, at that point, like somebody comes up to him, like some street toughs or something, come up to Luffy, like Luffy, taking inspiration from Shanks, he wouldn't get into a fight with them even if they started shit, like they bump into Luffy and they're like, watch where you're going, buddy. Luffy, at this age, he's cultured, remember. He would just be like, oh, yes, I apologize for bumping into you, sir, and then they would just walk away. But if Luffy were to, like, beat them down or something, he wouldn't even have to use Haki. He could probably, at this point in his life, just go gear forth and just smack them, like, 16 miles away before they had time to even blink. Yeah, he could just use there's so much in his toolbox at this point, at his disposal. It's like he's such an over-leveled character, he wouldn't even need to worry about, like, oh, alright, you want to fight me? Alright, I have literally 10 different ways I could end your existence right now in less of a time it takes you to take a piss. So, what's your poison gonna be, right? Do you want me to, like, Culverian you? Do you want me to Tankman Cannon you? Do you want me to just knock you out with Conquerors? Do you want me to just knock you out and put you into a coma with Super Conquerors, which he's probably going to have at that point? Do you want me to just armament up my little finger and just... Do you want me to do that? There's just so many ways. He's probably an awakened Gumu Gumu no user at this point. Do you want me to turn the surrounding area into nothing but rubber, and so you're bouncing around like you're on a giant trampoline and you can't get your footing? You want me to do that? Because I could do that. My honest question would be, I wonder who could even challenge Luffy at this age. You think of people that are his rivals, like, right now, like, at the beginning of the story. Remember how much of a badass Smoker was? Like, when Luffy first met Smoker at Logtown, and he's a Logia, so Luffy couldn't hit him, and it's like, whoa! I can't believe Smoker's this powerful! How's Luffy ever gonna beat him? I don't see Smoker becoming Luffy's rival. I don't see Smoker gaining as much power as Luffy in this respect, Like, I like Smoker. I like his character and all that. It's just like, this would be like, to use a comparison, like Roger and Garp were always kind of in, like, equal parlay, equal power. I don't know if I used the word parlay there correctly, but it sounds cool as hell, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, I don't think they're an equal, like, that far off there, but with Luffy and Smoker, I think that gap has definitely widened over the last few years, right? And if it was a straight up fight between Roger or Garp in their prime, I'd be like, okay, that fight could go either way. Garp could win and I could see that. Roger could win and I could see that. It could be a boom, double KO and I could see that. Luffy versus Smoker just right now in the story, I think is pretty damn consistent. Smoker's gonna get his ass handed to him, alright? Like, out of 100 fights, maybe Smoker might get lucky in a few of them, just by happen chance, but I think the vast majority of fights, Smoker's going down every time, alright? So I don't see, like, Smoker's like in his 30s right now. I think he's like 35, 36. So, at this point in like 20-something years when Luffy's 40, Smoker would be in his mid-50s. I mean, he's got age on Luffy, but I don't see that going on. So I'm wondering who Luffy's rival would be in this case, other than, like, Sabo. Sabo, I could see him and Luffy, like, training back and forth. Buggy, of course. The other Straw Hats are obvious ones. I'm trying to think of, like, other characters beyond just the Straw Hats, though. Boa Hancock, though, maybe? Who knows? We saw what she could do in Stampede, maybe, alright? So, yeah, that's age 40 Luffy, and he's looking pretty damn fly. Alright, so moving on to age 60 Luffy. This is actually the whole genesis of this question. Somebody actually asked Oda, like, hey, Oda, Luffy is Garp's grandson, right? And, I wonder if he's gonna look more like Garp as he gets older. There's definitely a family resemblance between Luffy and Garp. I mean, if you just look at these two pictures of Luffy as he is now in the story and Garp when he first joined the Marines, you can definitely notice a similarity there. It's just Garp's skin was a lot more tan than Luffy's was, but, they have the same hair color. Garp's original hair color was black. Garp has the scar on his eye, which he had ever since he joined the Marines. We don't know how he got that scar. Luffy has a similar scar there. But yeah, honestly, if anything, Luffy ends up looking more like Garp than he does looking like Dragon, right? Because Dragon's, like, in his 50s right now. Even Luffy at age 40 doesn't really resemble Dragon all that much. And it's not just the fact that Dragon has the tattoo, Dragon's got the longer hair, it's just the facial features are different. You know, they just are. Like, Luffy's eyes are just, and his, like Dragon's face is a lot more stern. It's got, like, a lot more ridges, like my 8th grade's English teacher, Mr. Z. And, like, that guy, that teacher had, like, a face carved out of, like, stone, right? So that's more Dragon. But Luffy doesn't really, it just doesn't fit for him. That doesn't, I'm not throwing out the idea that, like, Garp, I mean, Dragon isn't Luffy's father. He is. I'm just saying, there's not much of a family resemblance there. But when Luffy gets old enough, like in his 60s, yeah, he definitely resembles Garp more there. I want some meat! And, like, at this point, I don't think, I mean, I need to really talk about, like, there might be a bit of a curve with his power, you know, just because Garp is not as strong as he was, like, in his 40s, you know, just like Whitebeard and Rayleigh are not as strong as they were in their prime. So probably in, like, Luffy's 50s and 60s, getting into his 70s, that's the point where his power does begin to wane. But still, suffice it to say, just like Garp is super strong right now, just not as strong as he used to be, Luffy could still end you immediately with this level of power. That actually kind of makes me want, like, I would really love Oda to do, like, an epilogue of One Piece, where after the One Piece manga's over, like, let's just picture this for a second. The One Piece manga ends, it wraps up, and there's no new manga form of One Piece for a while. The anime's still running, there might still be OVAs, there might still be movies, and merchandise and all that stuff, because One Piece is just a powerhouse with that merch. But let's say, like, after a couple of years of ending One Piece, like, let's say One Piece ends in, like, 2024, which is, I think, one of the editors did state it was ending, you know, around there. So let's just say it ends in 2024. Let's say no One Piece for, like, 3 years. Then in 2027, which is, like, it would be the 30th anniversary of the start of the One Piece manga, Oda draws a special epilogue chapter, which just is huge amounts of fan service, features all of the Straw Hats in their older guises, you know, Luffy, 60, Zoro, they're all, like, way older, way more badass, and they just get together for one last final rush, and you just see one huge aspect. Like, there are some upstart pirates in the New World that are gathering all this power, and the Straw Hats get together for one last party, and they just get at it, and it's the whole, it's just, that would be cool if we did something like that, right? So, yeah, don't mess with Garp Luffy. All right. So now we go into the dimension where things didn't really work out all that well. Luffy, age 40 here, is talking about how, oh, you know, Pirate King, that's just a dream. This is the version, imagine, like, if Luffy, at the end of Sabaody, when Kuma devastated the Straw Hat crew and sent them flying, imagine that Kuma really did have malicious intent there. And he wasn't trying to help the crew, he was actually actively trying to finish the crew off. And so, he didn't send Nami to Weatheria, he didn't send Zoro to Mihawk's Island. No, Kuma actually did take all of Luffy's friends and then send them flying into, like active volcanoes and stuff. And the Straw Hat crew was truly and done and devastated that day. And all that, like, Luffy managed to escape. He was the only one that was left. And at that point, Luffy decides at, like, age 17, he's like, I tried to make a crew and be king of the pirates, but I just can't. And he's just a broken man, guys. And he just spends the rest of his days as a recluse, hanging out in bars and just drinking. And he's just like, one day in the pub, Luffy's there drinking. Some people come in, some upstart pirates, and they're like, we're heading out for the Grand Line. We're gonna be kings. And Luffy's sitting there in the bar, and he's like, king of the pirates. That's just a dream, kid. It can't happen. You think it could happen, and then everything you love gets taken away from you. Your cotton candy loving reindeer of a doctor gets chucked inside of an active volcano screaming bloody murder. That's when you know life really is over. You know, like Luffy. So Luffy basically kind of becomes pre-time skip Bellamy, just a lot more depressed in this version of reality. So I'm sorry, that was getting kind of intense there, but yeah, or maybe to dial it back a bit, maybe not all of Luffy's dreams and all of the Straw Hats die in this version, but at the very least, like, Luffy decided at a young age, like, being a pirate it's not worth it, and he decided to become Pirate King, and it just failed miserably, and he's like, I'm not trying that again, you know, I'm just gonna sit here and drink my ale and spend the rest of my days in this pub, you know, that's basically Luffy. At age 60, he's looking pretty roughed up, and he's just there like, hey, is this meat? is that free? Can I take this meat? So imagine, like, this is an old, like, they're all homeless. Like, all of the Straw Hats in there, like, in the version where things don't go well at age 60, I always compare them to, like, just homeless people. You know, like Usopp's the homeless guy out behind the 7-Eleven that's like, I'll tell you about my adventures, the time I met Franklin Roosevelt. If you just give me some coin, I'll tell you how me and Winston Churchill teamed up, you know, and saved the world. And it's like, all right, old man, I'll give you a quarter, right? So that's how I always depict them. This is homeless man Luffy if he were to just wander into, like, some kind of high class event. Like, there's a convention center in town, and there's, like, an event, like a trading event or something, where there's a bunch of really, you know, high-powered executives there, and they have, like, a buffet table hanging out, and there's meat on the buffet table. Luffy just wanders in off of the street into the alley. He just gets into the building. He's looking around. He's like, hey, is this meat just free to take? Okay. And then you just have this homeless man standing in the middle of all these like executives and stuff and just eating meat, and he just smells like a dumpster. And then, like, the security comes over and he's like, okay, old man, all right, let's get you somewhere you need to be. I wanted meat though. I'm like, all right, sir, you can keep the meat, just come on, we're gonna take you somewhere nice and soft, a nice padded room for you, Gramps, okay? Which is even more kind of depressing now that I think about it, but hey, that's the whole point of these, right? The universe where things go awesome, and the universe where things get really real, really fast, okay? So yeah, but yeah, Luffy, as long as he doesn't die from the multiple ailments that he suffered throughout the course of this manga. I made a whole video about Luffy's lifeline and all of the things, like he got poisoned by Magellan and the Emporio hormones that were injected, constant uses of Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, Gear 4th. He climbed a mountain, he got, like, almost frostbite, and just all the horrible stuff that's happened to him. He's probably maybe not, even in the best scenario, he's not going to live much older than age 60, maybe, right? But his entire life would be spent like Roger. Roger got sick and he died young, relatively young. He was in his 50s. Luffy might end up getting sick as well. Not the exact same illness as Roger. Some people, I mean, back before we really knew a lot about Roger's illness, people were throwing out the idea maybe Roger got some kind of illness on one of the islands. I mean, I guess it's possible. I always imagined his illness was something else, not related to anything he contracted. Maybe like a genetic illness. Or maybe just like with Luffy. Like, Luffy has suffered so many fights, so many battles, so many illnesses over the years and poisonings and stuff, it just catches up to you at a certain point. I think Roger was the same way. So yeah, but he would spend every waking moment of his life traveling. If he was going to stop, it would only be for a little while to catch up with everybody, maybe return to Fuchsia, hang out with everybody in Fuchsia, inspired some new bright-eyed little kid that wants to be the next Pirate King. He's like, there you go, kid, take off his straw hat, give it to that kid, and then move on. That's something else to pay attention to. Luffy at age 40 and 60 doesn't have his straw hat. Luffy at age 40 and 60 in this version don't either, but I imagine that's because he either lost it or pawned it at some point. Like, hey, I need some money, sir, in the pawn shop. And Rick Harrison walks out. He's just like, what do you got for me? He's like, all right, so here's the deal. I got this straw hat right here. This straw hat was given to me by the red-haired Shanks. The red-haired Shanks. And it was given to him by, are you ready for this? I'm ready for this, sir. Pirate King Goldie Roger. So here you go. And then you cut to, like, Rick being like, okay, so everyone, Goldie Roger was the king of the pirates. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows everything about him. People did say he used to wear a straw hat. The question is this that straw hat? All right, well, I don't know. I know a buddy that knows some stuff about this. I'll call him in. He calls in Buggy. Buggy walks into the pawn shop, and he's like, oh, yeah, that does. I'll tell you right now, this is Captain Rogers right here. He even signed it right here. You're Captain Roger. That's his signature. And Luffy's like, yeah, I told you. All right, I want 10 billion berries for this. And Rick's looking at it like, tell you what, I gotta make money on it too, man. I'll give you 200 million. 200 million, bear! Yeah, okay, fine. Because I really need the money. And then he walks out, yeah. I don't know what the hell that was. What the hell? Did I just have, like, a weird, like... I haven't watched Pawn Stars in years. I was just like, whoa, okay, that was weird. If there's anybody out there with animation ability and could do a good Rick Harrison impression... I would pay money to see that. What the hell I just did animated, all right? Have a great night, everybody. Yep, and tomorrow we'll get back to it. Oh, when the next One Piece chapter is. I've gotten some questions about that. Well, we're on a break right now, as we usually are for the holiday season. What's today? Today's Tuesday. I think there would be a chapter this week, and, you know, with the translations and when I'll talk about it, I don't know. I know I said I'd wait until the official releases, but that really honestly all depends on the hype factor of the chapter, if we're being straight up. You know, if we get another chapter that's focusing on Roger and stuff, I'd be like, well, guess I'll have to talk about that. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear. We'll see where it goes. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Later.